Welcome to an international celebration of spiritual living, a joining of two communities, one in Barbados and the other in the United States of America, who gather each week to celebrate spiritual living together. This service is presented by Centers for Spiritual Living Joyful Heart Teaching Center and Centers for Spiritual Living Barbados Teaching Chapter. These two congregations are bound by a shared commitment to the truth that we are all expressions of the one life that lives through everything. Whether you're joining us live on Sunday at 6 in the evening Eastern Time, or catching the replay Monday at 8 in the evening Eastern Time on New Thought Media Network, you are part of this circle now. Every week brings something new, a new teaching, a new experience, a new invitation into deeper presence. So settle in, open your heart, and let's celebrate together.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for being here. I'm Reverend Gina, and it is a blessing to be here with you today for our International Sunday Celebration. We come together every week, and we are teaching a science of mind, which combines philosophy, religion, and science. We're a spiritual community that lovingly embraces all. We celebrate diversity through the practice of science and mind, the teachings, the principles, and the betterment of each individual for the oneness. Knowing that we are one and putting that message out there so people remember the beauty and the wonder that each one is. That's what we're here to do, is to celebrate diversity all over the world. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for being that light. And we're going to get started with a song. And blessed to have as a guest today, our speaker today is Reverend David Ault. And I'm very excited that we have some of his music to go with it today. So the first one is, How Could Anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Yes, how deeply we're connected in our soul. Beautiful song. Thank you for that, David. And next we're going to have our beloved and ordained Reverend Michael Mangus, who is here to do our invocation for us from the glorious Ohio.
Well, yes, it's really, again, it's really an honor to be on the international broadcast here and to be with you today. And again, that science of mind, religious science, new thought, again, it's a universal and global teaching. And so it's not just for the United States or for UK or any of the other parts of Europe. It's for us right here, right now. It's a practical spirituality. So we are going to go ahead and to have an invocation. We are going to invite and be open to the presence of God that's within us and invite that presence of God into our service today. So close your eyes with me. Take a deep breath in. Inhale and exhale. Release, relax, and just let go. That's right. One more time. Inhale and exhale. And inhale one more time. Inhale and exhale. Just feel the relaxation go throughout your body and join me in going into the body, into the heart region. Not the physical heart, but the spiritual heart. Right there. Some traditions call it the sacred heart. Others call it the heart chakra. But see right there within you a ball of white light. Yes. And see yourself just go into the center of that light. And as you keep going just closer and closer to the center, see yourself down, just absorbed in the light where there is only the light. Yes. There's only the light. And there's only the light in you and in me. So there's only one. One presence, one power, one life, one activity. That is everywhere present. It's everywhere powerful, everywhere all-knowing, everywhere active. This is God's world. God living and being in and through and as its creation. I recognize this evening right here, right now, or wherever that and whatever time that you're watching, is that this presence, this power, this life, this activity expresses as you and as me. For we are one on the invisible side of life. Just feel that, know that. We are one. And so, being one, we can go ahead and feeling this presence, this power, which is love, life, light, peace, power, beauty, joy, abundance, wisdom, prosperity, and creativity. Feeling that. We just now set our intention for our time together. And this time together is good and very good. For we have gathered in the name of the divine to uncover the divine within each and every person around the world. So I just give great thanks for everyone who is working and producing this service tonight, for Reverend Gina and for Reverend David being here, and for our practitioner Sonia being here. We're all here again to allow ourselves just to take this message to the world. And so I just now know and just invoke the presence of the Holy Spirit for this time together. And I know that this is good and very good, that David's talk today will allow us to be more who we are. And that is the divine that we are. So I just give great thanks for everyone again in the service and everyone watching. I know that everyone is blessed and everyone is enlightened because that we have gathered together. And so again, with a grateful heart, I say thank you. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. And if you agree with me today, please say with me, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much for that beautiful prayer.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. And now I get to introduce the beautiful partner that I have in this celebration, Sonia Harte, our practitioner from Barbados, for our daily reading.
Thank you, Reverend Gina. Good evening, everyone who's watching this show at this moment. I'm reading from the Science of Mind magazine for today, August 23rd, 2026. And today's reading title is Simply Be. To cave you fear, to enter highs, the treasure you seek. And that's a quote from Joseph Campbell. And the other quote is from our founder, Ernest Holmes, from the Science of Mind, page 109. And I quote, "So humans must be created with the possibility of limitless freedom and let alone to discover themselves. My work as a hospital chaplain allows me to be with people on their absolute worst days. I am with them on the day they receive a terminal diagnosis, on the day their child or spouse or partner dies. Amidst the shock, fear demands to be heard. How will we make our house payment? How will I do now? How can I go on? Where is God? How do I move forward in such pain?" The truth is, there is nothing anyone can say to ease the fear or the pain these folks experience in these moments. What I can do is simply be. I can be a conduit of love and peace. I can stand by them in sacred silence, holding their hearts and their fear in love and kindness. I can know the truth for them, that they will heal and eventually begin to live again. Sometimes our journey includes being a companion to others on their worst days. Our role in providing solace and love to others in their times of need call on us to be steeped in spiritual truths and at the same time to honor their pain and their fear. We do not try to fix them or change anything. We can't. It is a gift to be a source of strength for others on their worst days, holding the truth for them at a time when they can't know it for themselves. We begin by knowing this truth for ourselves, first in each and every moment of each day. And the affirmation for today, based on that reading, is I focus on how I am being. I choose harmony with the source of all good. I choose love and deep understanding of my oneness with all.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Beautiful. And now I have what I consider a fun song. It always makes me smile, because how can you not watch children sing and have your heart light up? So the next song that I have for you is How Far I'll Go, and it's the Voices of Hope Children's Choir. So just enjoy.
I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember, never really knowing why. I wish I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water no matter how hard I try. Every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be. See the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me. And no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know. If I go, there's just no telling how far I'll go. I know everybody on this island seems so happy on this island. Everything is by design. I can lead with pride, I can make us strong. We'll be satisfied if I play along. This voice inside sings a different song. What is wrong with me? The line of time from the sea is blinding, but no one knows how deep it goes. And it seems like it's calling out to me, so come find me and let me know what's beyond that line. When I cross that line, the line of the sky from the sea, it calls me. That no one knows how far I'll go.
I love that. And of course, that was from AGT. And, you know, it's remembering how far we'll go. We don't always see it all, but it's knowing what's within us more than anything leads the way. And that power always gets us there, wherever that desire may be. So now I get the privilege of introducing Reverend David Ault, who is an ordained minister through Centers for Spiritual Living and has served in congregations in Granada Hills, California, Mobile, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia. He's a founder and executive director of Kaleidoscope Children Foundation, which is a global education nonprofit. This work is featured in the full-length documentary Kaleidoscope Children, which is currently touring the world in the film festival circuit. He's an award-winning author, leadership coach, and teaches about awareness, mindfulness, and the integration of non-dualism in our everyday lives. He is an advocate for global literacy and absolutely a spiritual educator and motivational speaker. And I am so grateful that he's here with us today to talk about uncommon sense.
Hi, Reverend Gina.
Hello. Thank you for being here with us.
Oh, my pleasure. And hi, Barbados. That's fun to say. And hi, all of the rest of the world who has the opportunity and the inclination to tune in to this brief time together. It's a joy and an honor to be able to share with you. This is filmed on a Sunday, and it's been a very busy Sunday. And there's a local community center in our little area of Atlanta that has opened up, and there was a Swami there from Argentina today, and we were invited to go and be in his presence and participate in a meditation, which he is of the Vedanta or the Udvata tradition, which is just non-dual awareness, understanding that everything and all thing is one. And so it was fun to go and sit in his presence and kind of feel that energy and to have someone lead us through that. And then I was like, oh, I got to go. I got to come speak to all of you direct from there. So who knows, maybe there's a little extra juice in there. But I'm happy to share that with you. Yeah. Reverend Gina, as is all people who invite us to participate in something, they want a title. And lately I've been circling around with this idea of uncommon sense, and the fact that what that is implying is a really divine pause, a pause mostly in our reactivity to all of the things that are in the outer world, to not react, which would be sort of the common tactic, the fighting and the othering and all of the things that want to rush to fix. But uncommon sense starts with what I like to call the divine pause. And in that divine pause, we check in, we go into that non-dual place to begin to take inventory and to stock in what am I exactly? Who is the one that is wanting to fight back? Who is the one that is wanting to fix? And you can begin to see in that divine pause, we can check ourselves for a moment and we can take a really deep breath and we can settle in before there is any kind of action that is exhibited in the outer world. Some people might just describe that as mindfulness. I find it to be much richer and much deeper than that. And I share with you this analogy that imagine with me that there's this big infinite long fence and it's running down this field and you can see the fence for as far as the eye will take you. And on one side of the fence is potholes and garbage and broken glass and weeds and just everything that is appearing to be chaos. And on the other side of the fence, there is sort of a pristine upkeep. There are verdant rolling hills for as long as the eye can see. And if you were to take those two dynamics, the yin and the yang, if you will, and you were to compare them to being unconscious or conscious, or unhappy, settled into a state of victimhood, helplessness, and then the other side being something that prompted you to leave that and crawl over the fence onto the other side. I would venture to say then that with this crowd and the people who are watching, we have all made that decision. We have experienced long spaces of lifetimes where things have been chaotic and unhappy and miserable. And we have had everything, every range of hitting bottom to surrendering to becoming inspired by something that is different than the way that we had been raised. And so we have all made a decision. So I like to say that meant that we climbed over the fence. We climbed over the fence to this other side that held great promise, that held great spaciousness. And that's a beautiful thing, because that is the new reference point by which we can talk about life, and by which we can come through community and begin to discuss things that are not just rehashing what is wrong, but are now focused on something more in the alignment of infinite possibility. But the thing that's so interesting about that fence and about crossing over, and again, I'm going to make an assumption that we have all crossed over, but through observation and from just simply being in this world, what I have noticed, and I include myself in this, is that yes, I did make a choice to climb over to the fence. I did make a choice to extricate or remove myself from the habits that kept me bound by this helplessness. I made a choice, and I found something spiritual, and I found something to direct my practice towards, and I crossed over the fence. But what I see most prevalent is that most people have remained right up next to the fence. We have crossed over. We have been interested enough in the possibility of something more expansive that we have crossed over to taste the waters. But you could say that the majority, or the general populace of people, or of sentient beings, are not crossed over and then boom, off they go. They're all hovering right here adjacent next to the fence. I saw that exemplified in a brief little Q&A with the Swami this afternoon. After the meditation, one woman raised her hand and she said, how do we battle or conquer the ills of the world? And the Swami paused and he said, we don't. I understood what he was referring to. Because if you now sit with the question, and if this person asking the question was ready, we could begin to say, who is it within you? Who are you? Who is the one that is wanting to go and to fix? And the answer lies in this, and this I'm going to try to be very methodical as I explain this. The answer lies in this thing called self-referential, referring to self. And when I say self-referential, I'm talking about small s self. So in this case, it would be David. When the person said, how do we fix the ill of the world? How do we make bad things stop? And he said, we don't. He went on to explain, we pause and we understand the perspective of what it is that we're witnessing. And so when I, David, even though I've made the decision to cross over the fence, there's still an undeveloped understanding of who I am. I'm still very much seduced in the costume of David, or the self-referential. And there are schools of thought in non-dualism and Vedanta and Buddhism and Zen practices that say anything that is attached to self-referential, or the small s self, will always promote suffering. And so uncommon sense says, be careful to not lose yourself into the idea that you are the whole thing, that you are the totality of what needs to go fix, conquer, adjust, save, because that is a sort of egoic approach in this costume. But if you pause, and we're going to use the phrase our uncommon sense, and we go, who am I? What am I? And we can begin to now settle into the principle by which our own teaching is founded on. And that is that what I am, the I am is what I am. And what that is referring to is that something that has no description. It is the infinite, the infinite, that cannot be described by anything finite, even though we try. And rather than get frustrated about that, I want you to pause for a moment and recognize the fact that the costume, the finite self, even though I've crossed over the fence, I still have no idea of the boundlessness of the infinite unless I move away from the fence, unless I start to use my uncommon sense that frees me from trying to live or create or curate environments or protective bubbles, that I can begin to rely on the fact that, wait a minute, if I'm not this costume, if I'm not this small s self, if what I am is pure essence, I am the vessel of the capital S self that can only reveal and exhibit itself through me to the degree of how much I move away from the fence. And so when we become inspired and we feel a little bit of expansion, what do? We move away from the crowd that is huddled, the common sense crowd that is huddled by the fence. And what do? We go off and we embark into points unknown. We call it the mystery. We call it the first step when all the rest of the staircase is shrouded in fog. But we're willing, we're answering the call. We're letting go of the comfort zone and the identity, and we go in there. And as is often the case, when we do that, we stumble, we fall. And there is an inclination then when that happens to run back to what's familiar. So we run back to the fence. And I kind of laugh because I can see in my mind's eye the way that every time we attempt something and it doesn't unfold the way that the pictures in our mind thought it would, that we pick ourselves up and we run back where there's a whole crowd of who are greeting us and saying, I told you so, or it's better if you stay here. There's almost this unspoken rule of stay protected, stay small, stay with what's sure. But the uncommon sense, or that which is what you are, the capital S self that says, I can only give you what it feels like through lived experience. So lived experience means that you and I are going to have to continue to move ourselves away from what's familiar, away from the fence of familiarity into territories unknown. And so you think about it, right? We do that. We go off on creative ventures. We open our hearts. Sometimes the heart is broken. We do all kinds of things where vulnerability, and you could call it courage, or you could call it doing something for the first time. You could reference it by saying putting yourself out there. All of those phrases are really talking about the same thing, which is breaking free from some kind of inertia or some kind of stale pattern of what others have done. And you start to realize the more that you become reverent about the uncommon sense within you, or the tug, or as Ernest Holmes would call it, the inner propulsion that is pulling you continuously away from the fence of familiarity, then you start to see that we're not concerned about things like legacy or what will people remember about me, or because we realize that none of that means anything, because no one has walked into a tomorrow of our own creation where with yesterday's footprints by carbon copying something. So when you and I step away from the fence and we go, use me, and we mean it. We mean it. Not a caveat of use me and make it look like this way, but use me and realize that each time we fall, it's kind of like that Chinese proverb that says, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. All that's really saying is there will continue to be these little stumbles and these little falls. And what do? You just keep standing up. You just keep standing up. Because the more that we extricate ourselves from that fence of familiarity, here's the way it's always been done. Here's our ancestral manual of how it's supposed to be done. Here's our religion manual. Here's our cultural manual. Here's our heritage, whatever it is. The more that we can begin to move away and shed all of that carbon copy nature, and we just listen to what is called the deep calling unto deep. What is the deep calling unto deep? The deep that's calling is the capital S self that no one can fully comprehend, but you get to taste it and experience it each time you keep moving into the mystery of willingness. And it's extraordinary when you start to understand that, when you start to see and lose the interest in preserving the small s self-identity. And that's why there's all these beautiful teachings about how, we're trained to be somebody in this costume. Not only just somebody, but somebody who, there's got to be accolades, and there's got to be achievement, and there's got to be proof, and all these things. And all of those things stand a purpose, and they are necessary. But do you understand what the word beyond is? So after all of those things have happened, after all of the achievement and all the acquisitions and all of the accolades, what else is there? And that, to me, is really almost the beginning, because it is in that where we have sort of, what's the phrase? I've ridden the horse as far as it will go. When all of the somebodyness has now been worn out, and we keep moving away from the fence of how it is done by all of those who are operating out of common sense, and we allow ourselves to just be an open channel. Sometimes the best things that we have are like pioneers, or those who have gone where no other individual necessarily has gone. And again, I'm not talking about acts of bravery. I'm talking about the use of mind, the understanding of consciousness, and that consciousness can only meet the willingness of the consciousness in the costume that says yes. And so it's expansion and expansion and expansion and expansion. And that, to most people, that's not common sense. That's too radical. That's too risky. And you have to start to see that it's very crowded right here next to the fence. It's very comfortable right here next to the fence. This is where we have stumbled and quote, quote, failed. And so we've come back, and we're just hanging out in what's familiar. But the deep will keep calling unto deep. The inner propulsion will never stop wanting to pull. And eventually, and I believe that all of us, because we're all just one thing anyway, we all eventually pull ourselves away from the fence, and we go off into the vast verdant territory. And I love the idea that when you move away from the fence and it's unfamiliar and you don't know where you're going, and it's like, if you keep going far enough, guess what happens? There's like a whole nother conclave of individuals who are now operating at that level of consciousness. And then you gather and you understand and you learn and you commune and you strengthen and you access wisdom, and then you take that, and then the journey just keeps continuing, and you start to see that this cycle of expansion has no finish line. But have you ever met anyone who is willing to go on that kind of journey? The journey of shedding the identity and the accolade, the journey of letting the self-referential small s self just sort of dissipate. And all that really matters then is to continue to answer or to say yes to anything that is expansive, that keeps pulling and pulling us more and more into surrendering or free-falling ourselves into what we would call the capital S, self. This teaching of spiritual teacher Ram Dass, he lectured for decades, and everything was recorded. And so you can imagine the archived material. And many times you will hear him talk in all of this archived material about how people would come up to him and they would say, "Oh, I wish I could do what you do. Oh, I wish I could meditate like you do, but I have this issue at home, or I have these family, or I have these kids, or I live in New York City and it's just too noisy." And eventually what he started to say to all of these people was, everywhere you look, you see what you're looking for. Everywhere you look, you see what you're looking for. And what he was pointing out was, if you're looking for the reason why you can't, or for our sake of our analogy, the reason why you must stay next to the fence, then you will always find the reason. You will always find agreement. You will always find those who will champion whatever the laundry list of, if we want to call them excuses or rationales or common sense checklist, you will always find people to be in agreement with. And so, I can't do this because of this. You will be right. I will be right. Because, as we say in religious science, I am right by right of my consciousness, or the bandwidth of my self-awareness. But then he would say, everywhere you look, you see what you're looking for. But if the only thing is God that you're looking for, then God is what you will see. And so, if the only thing, when you start to move away from the fence, is all of the beautiful evidence of expansion and the realization of God as a lived experience, or the infinite as a lived experience, not just a concept, not just something in a textbook, or not something that some minister says, but a lived experience. If you keep saying, that's what I'm looking for. So by saying that's what I'm looking for, it's the only thing I'm looking for, I'm making myself available to that. Look at me. I'm being in integrity with what I am saying. Then that is what I will see. And I look at that and I think, yeah, all of that would go in a book called Uncommon Sense. Because as the woman who asked the Swami today, how can we fix that? The job isn't about fixing that. It's about adjusting and remembering what we are, so that as we go into that world of the density, of the dualism, of the othering, we're not standing there going, oh, I'm above all of this. We become the actual advocate and the hands and the feet that are helping do whatever it is that we can by our presence, by our labor, by our advocacy, by anything, our talent, anything that we can do to the collective. We are helping remove the veils of that forgetfulness, just as we have had to do it for ourselves and will continue to have to do it for ourselves. That's the way that we offer our gift to the world, not by going in and fixing the thing that we are perceiving as the problem, because the problem is only perceived through the lens that understands a problem. And so people get confused because they hear that and they go, what do you mean you're not going to go? And they want to rush to a conclusion that you are saying that you are above all of these things. And it couldn't be more different. It's saying, before I rush in and try to battle something at the same energy of the thing that I'm condemning, then all that I'm doing is bringing more of that same dense energy into the picture. But if I pause and I remember what I am, and I enter into the arena, I enter into, like the metaphor of Daniel in the lion's den. If I enter into those circumstances, remembering my capital S self, then my advocacy becomes something far more greater than just the commonality of discussion that is happening right next to the fence. So I am asking all of you today to consider your uncommon sense, to take whatever is on the back burner of your inner propulsion, to discount age and economics and story. As a wise teacher once told me, David, the story or the thought isn't holding you. You're holding the thought. You're holding the story. You and I have always been free to move away from the fence. You're free right now. It becomes a decision point of whether or not you're interested in all of this. Or sometimes, if the pain becomes too great, will you be invested? Will you be invested in dropping all of the things that are wanting to protect the self-referential self and run open arms into the infinite, who wants to co-create, collaborate, produce, embody, and allow you, the vessel, to be its mouthpiece, its hands and its feet for whatever it is that the world is prepared to receive. And you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at what it feels like to live in that kind of uncommon sense. I have to tell you, it's really the only recipe. It's the only rule book now that I can do the work that I do for Kaleidoscope Child Foundation, which is global education. Otherwise, I would have burned out long ago, because it will never be possible to fix every circumstance. It will never be possible to educate every child. And you start to see that's not the goal anymore. The goal is, how can I bring everything that I have in my availability, not from a place that's going to burn out because I think that I'm doing it, because I have paused and I have recognized now, and I have surrendered this identity and said, however you want this to look like, I'm game. And by that, then the work continues. And the work will continue as long as the work is supposed to continue. If it doesn't, after I drop this costume, then is that good or bad? No, it's just it was exhibited for as long as it was supposed to be in production, if you will. And I still get to do everything within my power while I'm still breathing, to see what I can do about endowment. Do you see? So it's a paradox. I'm not grasping or clinging at trying to preserve something. I'm available. I'm available to whatever it's looked like. And if this is to go on, then my hands are not attached to that outcome. They're open and receptive to however it's supposed to be. I understand that this is a lot easier said than done. But that's the beauty of what a practice is. And I always tell people, none of this will mean anything to you until you experiment letting go of the fence. Just one little thing. And that one little thing isn't wasted. It's cumulative. And so everything becomes just a little bit more and a little bit more, stepping away from the fence of familiarity into what is seemingly uncommon territory. But I swear from experience that if you allow yourself to do that, that you will be met and you will be handheld and guided into whatever is the next part of the path. Will you take a moment with me wherever you are in the world? Take a deep breath. Just kind of check in with how you're feeling about everything that I said. If there's anything about what I said that you have interpreted and are making yourself feel less than, then I want you to breathe into that and go, that is not the option or the opportunity that we are here to hold on to. The thought that, oh, I should have, or it's too late. Here's the beautiful opportunity. There is no such thing as too late. If you hear this and you can begin to consider, or you can hear faintly the deep that's calling unto the deep, that is you. And yet you go, I don't know how to do that. That's great. It's perfect. The how is not important. All that you and I have to do each moment of every day is go, show me. I'm paying attention. Show me what it is that I'm supposed to do. I'm paying attention. And what we do is we do exactly that. We pay attention with an open mind and an open heart. And we just continue to say, I'm available and yes to everything that is expansive. And with this, my friend, we will be on purpose. We will find ourselves in the right and perfect place. It's never too late. It's never too late. Right now is the time. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you for that. And I want to just mention again, I put up the Kaleidoscope website so people can go there and find out more about the wonderful. Can you mention what countries you're in right now?
We are predominantly in Cambodia and India, and we have grant scholarship work in Guatemala and Kenya, Africa, and the US.
Thank you. And thank you for the beautiful message. And I'm going to ask, and I'm going to put you on the spot, I'm going to ask you if you can pray for us through our closing prayer.
Sure. Again, I invite you to pause, take a breath. And just as I had us listen and experiment with what is before us, I ask you now in this moment of prayer to pause and to recognize and to understand that everything that is you, every part of the story, every part of the blueprint that got you to this moment is exactly what it was meant to be. It is the perfect combination, the perfect recipe for you to move into the next evolution of your Dharma, your work in the world, your signature, your brand of being, your expression of what the deep is calling you to do. It's not supposed to look like anybody else's. And so we move into that place of trust, and we move into that place that tips the scale a little bit from just being intellectual about it all or just being interested in all of it to finding ourselves into a whole new vista of investment. What does it mean to be invested? To be invested in moving away from the fence of familiarity. Loving the fact that we don't have to have it figured out. And so we do this not siloed, not alone, but we do it in perfect community. We cease saying, oh, I can't find anyone, or I can't find my tribe, or I can't find this, because we know everywhere we look, we see what we're looking for. So we say, I now find the right and perfect mix of people, the right and perfect expressions of consciousness that will help me on my journey. And I celebrate the fact that they are right here and right now. And we start to see that everything now is encased in this expectancy of good. And we let it be so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much for the beautiful message and prayer. Thank you for being with us today. It's a blessing. And now as we close, I just want to mention a couple of announcements. We have a sacred circle at 7 p.m. Eastern Time every week. You're invited. It is spiritual conversation and beloved spiritual community. Sonia and I are always there, and we invite you in wherever you are in the world at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You are welcome. And I'd also love to invite you to Finding the Joy in the Journey, which is on the New Thought Media Network. And know that we are there to do just that, finding the joy in today. So as Rev David had said, it's stepping into that unknown. It is realizing and recognizing those pastures are right here, right now. So I invite you, find whatever keeps you roaming. And yes, it's time to step away from the fence and know that that greater view, that absolute beauty, that wonder is that power that is within you. So with that, we're going to end with the perfect song for that, which is I've Got the Power, from Karen Drucker and our beloved Reverend David Ault. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here. And know that if you want to be a part of this Sunday message, please reach out to us. The information is right in, wherever you're watching this, it's right in that blurb below. You can reach Sonia and I by email. We'd love for you, wherever you are in the world, to be with us and in one of our Sunday celebrations live. Blessings and love. Namaste. We'll see you next week.
I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power.
All right, freeform dance.
There's nothing I can't do.
I've got the power
to be anything I want.
I've got the power inside of me.
Yeah.
I've got the power inside of me.
Every day I'm wasting my time thinking that someone else is gonna do it all for me. I've got to
Get up, get out, get it.
just get started. Take one step towards my destiny. Then I'll
Find my direction
with clear-cut intention. Declare what will be, and then just watch it come to me.
I've got the power
To make all my dreams come true.
I've got the power
Honey, there ain't nothing I can't do.
I've got the power
To be anything I want.
I've got the power inside of me. I've got the power inside of me.
Talk me down, David.
There are days when I feel that I'm just no good. Days when I don't even want to try. But when I stop, look and listen and surrender, I hear a voice of truth I cannot deny. It says you know you can do it, and just get down to it.
Have faith in yourself There ain't nothing I can't do.
I've got the power.
To be anything I want.
I've got the power inside of me. I've got the power inside of me.
In those times when I feel so frightened and it seems like I just can't go on, I need to look deep inside, 'cause that's where I find the power, the power, the power inside of me. Yeah. I got the power.
I've got the power.
You got the power. You got the power. You got the power.
I've got the power.
I got the power now.
I've got the power inside of me.
Are you feeling it?
I've got the power inside of me.
I got it. All right, so we're gonna sing this together. I got the power. You got the power. We got the power.
I got the power. You got the power. We got the power. I got the power. You got the power. We got the power. I got the power. You got the power. We got the power.
Sing with us.
I got the power. You got the power. We got the power. I got the power.
We're gonna do this for about
you
10
got the power,
hours,
we
just
got
over and
the
over
power.
until you get it.
I got the power. You got the power. We got the power. I got the power. You got the power. We got the power.
I got the power. You
Got the power. We got the power. I got the power. You got the power. We got the power. Power.
Thanks for watching our International Celebration of Spiritual Living. Join us again next week. Presented by Centers for Spiritual Living, Joyful Heart Teaching Center, and Centers for Spiritual Living Barbados Teaching Chapter. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.